right, we've got Skylar Diggins-Smith with us to close out the post-practice media. I'm going to go ahead and start with Nick Hamilton.
Hello, Skylar. First and foremost, how are you feeling? Coach said you practiced with the team and you're kind of back in the rhythm now, so just want to know how you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
And follow-up question is, with this team, obviously you only had 2 games on your belt. How do you see this team continuing to gel and develop and be able to continue to build that chemistry as you guys move along towards the goal?
Sure. I think as we get more time, as we have had more time together, more time in practice, obviously things come together. It's so different, the style of teams that we play. But I think, obviously the more time that we get together, we get to work on things, the little things. And I just think that's the best way you're able to build chemistry, just being around one another on and off the court. And, that starts to happen. We obviously don't have the same advantage as every other team who's been together for years. But I think at this point, can't use that as an excuse or explanation. You have to just continue to try to use the time that we have to be as productive as we can.
Thank you.
And we'll go to Michelle Vogel next.
Yeah, Skylar, I guess following up on that a little bit, defensively specifically, what do you feel like you guys have improved on in the relatively short time you're together, and how does that help going into an opponent like France?
Yeah, I mean, you start to learn each other, learn each other's habits. Like I said, we played 2 very different teams as far as styles of play offensively. Nigeria, we knew they were tough drivers. They wanted to play off of their defense. We knew Japan was going to put up a lot of threes. And now we know France is going to be traditionally the style team that we're used to seeing. They'll play inside out. They have 2 of the best scorers in the Olympics, I feel, with Sandrine and Johannes, the way that they're able to score the basketball. And so we have to continue to communicate. I think that's the biggest thing when you haven't played, with personnel a lot. The biggest thing that you can control is your communication. And I think over our time together, that's what we see. We have to continue to communicate. And that's how we've been as efficient as we have on defense.
When you think of this group, I mean, this is the 12 of you are as good as it gets. But is communication still something you have to work on, even if you're, 12 of the best players in the world, that it is still something that takes some getting used to, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have our strengths, whether it's offensively, defensively, some of us on both sides of the basketball. But I think these teams play so hard. You can't hide. You have to really commit to the defensive side of the basketball. And like I said, the biggest thing is communication, switches and transition, matching up, off the ball movement. Everybody's so active. So I think even more so, you have to kick it up a notch. And that's something that even as vets, young players, whatever the case may be, I think that's the biggest aspect to a successful defensive team.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Samuel Rodriguez, and then B. Terrell, you're on deck.
Hey, Sky. Being away from family and friends for this amount of time, has this taken a toll on you at all mentally?
Yeah. Yes, it has.
Follow up. With Simone Biles speaking up about mental health on this big of a stage, do you think it's finally time to have an open, non-judgmental conversation about this?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Brandon Terrell, made for the W.
Hey, Skylar. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good.
All right. Pretty much following up on that question, what does self-care look like for you there? Obviously, you had the bubble season for the WNBA last year. And so what are some things that I guess that you may have learned about yourself that you kind of carry over into this Olympic atmosphere?
No offense, I just don't feel the need to discuss that with you.
Okay.
We are going to close out today with Rafiq.
This is Rafiq with Nothing But That Sports Talk. I just want to ask you, have you had a chance to watch France in the Olympics? And if you have, how are you able to figure out the type of offensive defensive sets when going up against them in the upcoming game?
Yeah, I think because they've played a few games, we've been able to see film on them, see film from maybe some past FIBA games as far as personnel. But like I said, in my opinion, they have two of the top scorers in the Olympics with Sandrine Gruda, which we all are a little bit familiar with her from playing versus, Sandrine when she was in the W and, international play, but just her ability to make the mid-range shot, to be a threat in the post. I think France, the characteristics are they move well without the basketball. They'll play inside, outside, throw it back in. They have good off the ball movement. And then off the bench, I think with Johannes, just her ability to make tough shots. She takes tough shots, but she makes tough shots. And then they have a lot of complementary players who I think they offensive rebound really well. I think they're physical. And so, obviously we're going off the most recent film that we have of them in the past 2 games that they've played, but I've been impressed, with their style of play, how it translates, how hard they play, and, how they can get after it on both sides of the basketball.
And what Olympian outside of basketball has inspired you to continue your work in the Olympics this year?
My son.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Skylar.